Brian Thompson, a 50-year-old CEO of United Health Group, was tragically killed on December 4, 2024, in a shocking attack while on his way to an investor meeting. The incident drew nationwide attention and launched an intense manhunt for the person responsible. Thompson was a prominent figure, leading the world's largest healthcare company by revenue. He joined United Health in 2004 and worked his way up to the position of CEO in 2021. During his tenure, he emphasized growth and preventive healthcare. However, the company faced significant backlash when implementing an artificial intelligence system to evaluate insurance claims. The AI model had a staggering 90% error rate, leading to a sharp rise in claim denials and scrutiny of United Health's leadership. According to his wife, Thompson had received threats in the months leading up to his death, but the attack still came as an unexpected and devastating blow. On the morning of December 4th, Thompson was in New York City for an annual investor meeting at the New York Hilton Midtown Hotel. As he approached the venue, a man waiting nearby for several minutes targeted him. The assailant shot Thompson twice from behind. When the weapon jammed, the attacker calmly fixed it and fired again before fleeing the scene. Bystanders tried to help, and Thompson was rushed to the hospital. However, he could not be saved. The investigation immediately gained international attention due to Thompson's high-profile role. CCTV footage revealed the attacker had purchased coffee and snacks at a nearby Starbucks about an hour before the incident, and later fled the scene on a rented electric bike. Authorities pieced together the movements of the suspect, who used a forged New Jersey ID to check into the hotel before the attack. One chilling detail stood out. The bullets and casings used in the shooting were inscribed with the words "deny," "delay," and "depose." This was believed to reference the controversial phrase delay, deny, defend, often used to describe tactics employed by insurance companies to avoid paying claims. Police recovered additional evidence, including a mobile phone and a water bottle near the crime scene, both bearing fingerprints believed to belong to the attacker. 5 days later, a backpack filled with Monopoly money was found in Central Park, adding another layer of mystery. On December 9th, a 26-year-old man was arrested in Pennsylvania as a suspect in the case. Despite mounting evidence, including fingerprints and surveillance footage, the man denied involvement. He is currently being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center awaiting trial. While the evidence suggests the motive may be tied to Thompson's leadership at United Health and the company's controversial denial practices, authorities have yet to confirm this definitively. The case has left many questions unanswered, keeping the nation captivated as the investigation continues.
It was just another early morning in Dallas. October 21st, 2020. James Allen White, most people just called him Allen, started his day like he always did. He and his husband, Rusty, were both early risers. They'd head off to their separate gyms well before sunrise. Their routine was like clockwork. By 6 a.m., they were usually both back home. But on this particular morning, Rusty came home to an empty house. Allen wasn't there. At first, Rusty didn't panic. Maybe Allen got caught up chatting at the gym. But when 6:15 rolled around, still no sign of him, and then he missed his 7 a.m. work call. That's when the worry turned to fear. Rusty started driving the streets, calling every hospital he could think of. But there was no trace of Allen. And here's the thing. Allen was never one to break routine. He had made plans to spend time with his niece and her fiancé, who had just arrived the night before. He was looking forward to it. But when he never showed up, the family knew something was very, very wrong. By 11 a.m., he was officially reported missing. That same night, Allen's niece tried to log into his laptop, hoping to track his phone, but no luck. Then, Finally, a break. Security cameras captured Allen's last known movements. He was seen leaving the gym, walking alone to his 2019 Porsche Macan. Everything seemed fine. Then, another camera picked him up at a racetrack gas station, 5:39 a.m. Oddly enough, it was way off his normal route. Why was he there? He pumped gas, lingered in the store for a bit, then left. But not right away. He parked behind a nearby restaurant, stayed there briefly, and drove off. But here's where things get strange. No other cameras ever caught him again. It looked like he took a turn somewhere, off his usual path. A week later, his Porsche was found, 15 miles away, abandoned, hidden in some thick brush off Kitty Street, a place known for being a dump site. Someone had tried to conceal the car. From that moment on, the case was considered endangered missing. Police followed leads, interviewed witnesses. Nothing. Rusty eventually sold their home. He couldn't bear to stay there without Allen. Then, on May 13th, 2021, almost 7 months later, a discovery was made. A surveyor working near Paul Quinn College found human remains in the woods. Just 1 mile from where Allen's car had been found, it was him, James Allen White. The cause of death? Still unknown. Authorities never released more details. The condition of his body? Also kept private. Allen was laid to rest in West Virginia, in his family's burial plot. His loved ones finally had answers. But the mystery of what really happened that morning remains unsolved.
In November 2024, John Bale Cisneros tragically lost his life in a violent attack at his tattoo shop. Despite clear surveillance images of the suspect being shared widely, the person responsible for this heinous crime has yet to be brought to justice. Bale was a beloved and influential figure in the Albuquerque, New Mexico community. During his youth, he had fallen into gang-related activities, influenced by the wrong crowd. However, as an adult, Bale made a remarkable turnaround. Tattooing, which started as a hobby, became his passion, and eventually his career. Bale transformed his life, becoming a successful entrepreneur and businessman. His tattoo shop, Por Vida Tattoo, grew to house 17 artists, as well as a coffee shop and a barbershop. He also dedicated himself to helping others in his community who were trying to change their lives. Known for his philanthropy, Bale donated to local schools and community projects. Additionally, he founded the annual New Mexico Tattoo Fiesta, which brought thousands of visitors and artists from across the country. At 41 years old, Bale was well respected, admired, and loved by everyone who knew him. He had no known enemies, which made the attack even more shocking. The tragic events unfolded on the morning of November 14th, 2024. Around 8 a.m., Bale was preparing to open his tattoo shop for the day when an unidentified man entered. Surveillance footage from a nearby business captured the suspect approaching the shop, already holding a weapon. What happened next is unclear, but the attacker struck Bale multiple times with gunfire before fleeing. CCTV footage showed the suspect wearing a black striped jacket, which he later used to conceal the weapon as he left the scene. The suspect was also wearing a grey New Mexico shirt, jeans, brown shoes, a black mask, and a dark-colored hat with a glove on his left hand. Despite his face being partially covered, the footage captured clear details of his clothing, which investigators hope will help identify him. Authorities arrived at the scene around 8:30 a.m., but tragically, Bale had already succumbed to his injuries. As news of his death spread, countless community members shared heartfelt memories of Bale and his impact on their lives. The Albuquerque Police Department, with the assistance of the FBI, is actively investigating the case. A month after the attack, a $110,000 reward was announced for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the person responsible. If you have any information about this case, you are urged to contact the FBI's Albuquerque field office at 505-889-1300. Bell's family, friends, and community continue to seek justice for a man who gave so much to those around him.
It was the early morning hours, a quiet summer night in July 2020. The setting? The Garden Ridge Easy Mart, tucked away on FM 3009, just outside San Antonio, Texas. Inside the store was Pam Smotherman, 40 years old, a kind, hard-working woman, working the overnight shift alone. She was well-liked by locals, a familiar face behind the counter. But that night, something terrible was about to unfold. Around 3 a.m., a man walked through the doors. At first, he probably looked like just another late-night customer. Pam had no reason to think otherwise. But within moments, everything changed. Security footage would later show this man, his face partially hidden behind a red bandana. And suddenly, he was behind the counter, pressing a gun into Pam's back. He wasn't just robbing the store, he was threatening her life. He demanded cash and lottery tickets. And even though Pam did everything he asked, he still pulled the trigger. She was left there, shot and alone, while the masked man ran off into the night. But before she collapsed, Pam somehow managed to hit the silent alarm. Police responded quickly. They were there within 5 minutes, but by then, it was too late. Pam was gone. The store was in chaos. Blood on the floor, a family shattered. Detectives launched an investigation right away. The surveillance footage gave them a clear view of the suspect. But despite releasing the images and pleading with the public, no one came forward. Pam's loved ones even drove around town, showing the photo to strangers, asking, "Do you know this man?" But no answers. Frustrated, heartbroken, and angry, Pam's family decided to fight back in another way. They filed a lawsuit against the store's parent company, claiming negligence. And there was reason to believe they were right. According to court records, the store had ignored requests to close earlier, warnings that had been sent out due to growing safety concerns. Pam had also been working completely alone during the most dangerous hours. Eventually, in May 2021, the family won. A judge awarded them $4.45 million. But despite the payout, the pain remains. Because the man in the video, he's still out there. And Pam Smotherman's murder, still unsolved. It's a haunting reminder that even the most ordinary nights can end in unthinkable tragedy.
18-year-old Jamie Meir tragically lost his life after an incident involving a sharp blade in Hall Lane, Armley, in March. West Yorkshire Police, homicide detectives, and the Major Inquiry Team began a homicide investigation. 4 suspects were later identified as Ak Jeffers, Enham Nishad, and Caleb A., who were all 20 years old at the time, along with Renee N. Wills, who was aged 22. The 4 suspects had fled the country before they were ever even identified. West Yorkshire Police had discovered that the men had fled to Liverpool. Detective Chief Inspector Damon Robach expressed that the family remains heartbroken and that the department is determined to find the answers they need and bring the offenders to justice. He went on to explain that information from the public plays a vital role in these efforts, and they're appealing to anyone who has information regarding the individuals who were captured on CCTV in Liverpool. 4 men were previously arrested, aged 18, 19, 24, and 30, but were discounted from being involved in the homicide. the young man had passed away in the hospital a short while after the fatal wounding. A 16-year-old boy who was involved in the attack was also seriously wounded, but luckily survived. In the CCTV images, one of the men can be seen wearing a lightly colored hoodie with a blue shirt and blue pants. The second man is wearing all black with a white shirt and white shoes. The third can be seen dressed in all green of different shades and white shoes, while the last man is wearing all black. An arrest may be easier since all 4 suspects have been identified. All 4 men are from Leeds and were involved in the attack, which occurred on the 31st of March. Detectives are carrying out all inquiries in an attempt to locate them and have also been utilizing the help of the Crown Prosecution Service. The 4 men are now wanted for the homicide of Jamie Meir and the attempted homicide of another person. It was found that they had traveled to Liverpool before leaving the country, and their whereabouts remain unknown. This is why information from the public is regarded as of vital importance. What seems to be just a regular image of a group of men holds a lot more than you might think. If anyone has any information regarding the individuals, they're encouraged to make contact with HM on 111, quoting Operation Plunkett with the reference number 13230180255. On September 17, 2021, a 28-year-old woman was found in southeast London at Car Park in Kidbrooke. She was later identified as Sabina Nessa, a primary school teacher at Rushy Green. Sabina had left her home around 8:30 p.m. on AEL Road with plans to meet a friend at the Depot Bar. It would have only taken her about 5 minutes to get there. Her body was discovered the next day by a member of the public walking their dog in CER Park. A man in his 40s was initially arrested on suspicion of the murder, but was later released, as there was no evidence to hold him. Shortly after, another arrest was made after CCTV footage was released, showing a man in a dark-colored shirt and grey pants. The footage showed him walking into view of the camera with something in his hands that authorities believed could be vital to the case. He was seen looking over his shoulder before pulling up his hoodie. This footage was taken in Pegler Square on the night Sabina was attacked. Additionally, a CCTV image of a silver vehicle was released, believed to belong to the suspect. Detective Chief Inspector Neil John from the Met's Special Crime Command said his team was working hard to bring the suspect to justice. He explained that they had conducted a thorough search of CCTV footage and asked anyone in the Kidbrooke, Lewisham and Greenwich areas to look closely at the images and video in hopes someone could identify the man. A map showing the main locations of the investigation was also provided. John mentioned that the images had received significant coverage and the investigation was making good progress. Anyone with information was encouraged to contact the incident room at 020872114266 or Crime Stoppers anonymously at 08005551111. Tips could also be sent to the email address tips@dailymail.com. During this time, a 38-year-old man was being questioned, while authorities continued their search for the balding and bearded individual seen in the 12-second video footage. The organization Reclaim These Streets held a vigil for Sabina following the earlier homicide of Sarah Everard in the area. At the vigil, images of the suspect were shared. Sabina's sister, Jabina Yasmin Isla, urged everyone to stay safe. She expressed how shocked the family was by the events that took her sister's life. They never expected something like this to happen to them. Sabina's cousin, Zubal Ahmed, remembered her as a beautiful soul who loved teaching. Later, new footage was released showing how Sabina was attacked. It was reported that Sabina's body was placed over the suspect's shoulder and carried to the area where it was found. Authorities believe Sabina was attacked with an object to the head. Assistant Commissioner Wall stated that the Metropolitan Police were not advising women to change their behavior in response to Sabina's homicide. This came after information sheets were handed out to women on how to stay safe at night, distributed by a community group. Detective Chief Superintendent Trevor Lorry reassured the public that the streets were safe for women. But the hunt for the suspect continued. Assistant Commissioner Ralph added that violence against women was a priority for the police, but women should be able to live their lives freely, without fear. The police were doing everything they could to bring offenders to justice and prevent such crimes. The Duchess of Cambridge also expressed her sadness at the loss of another woman who was innocently walking on the street. Sabina's school head, Lisa Williams, described Sabina as a brilliant teacher, dedicated to her students. It remains unclear why anyone would want to harm her or if she had any enemies. Fortunately, the offender was later identified, arrested, and charged. The man was named Koi Kamaj, and he was sentenced to life in prison at the Old Bailey, with a minimum sentence of 36 years. Neil John described Kamaj as evil, and it was discovered that he had a history of domestic violence. He had travelled from Eastbourne, East Sussex, to London to carry out the murder. The reason for the attack on the young teacher remains unclear. When he appeared in court, he was asked why he had done it, to which he replied that he couldn't help it and accepted the consequences. Kamaj's lawyer, Lewis Power QC, said that his client initially took responsibility for the crime, but later pleaded not guilty. However, on December 16th of the following year, Kamaj changed his plea to guilty on February 25th.